Welcome back to Twisted Skinz Tech. Earlier this year I said I was going to do a build featuring this rather nice Sapphire R9 290 for a friend of mine to see if we could hit 60 FPS on all the latest titles at ultra settings for less than £400. Well, today that day has finally arrived, so let's get into the build, guys. For the processor, originally I went with this Intel i5-2500, however I used this in another build, so I replaced it with an i7-2600, which I bought from eBay for £75. I also purchased an Arctic Freezer i11 to keep things nice and cool, and this was bought from Amazon for £25. Moving on to the motherboard, I went with Gigabyte's GA-H61M-DS2 Micro ATX board, as it was one of the cheapest I could find that supports socket 1155. This was purchased from a reputable seller on eBay for £40 and came with a 3-month warranty for extra peace of mind. For the RAM, nothing fancy, I went with 2 sticks of 4GB of DDR3 at a speed of 1333MHz, as this is the fastest officially supported memory on the Sandy Bridge chipset. To store all of our games, I went with the Seagate Barracuda 500GB 7200 RPM hard drive, which was picked up on Amazon for £35 to keep the costs in check. To house all of our components, I managed to pick up this GameMax Falcon case for its lovely blue LED lights to match the rest of our system, and it comes with good airflow and accepts graphic cards up to 40cm long, so we're in no danger of the Radeon not fitting. To be honest, I was very impressed with this budget case, which came in at £41 from eBay. To power our system, I managed to find a brand new XFX Core Edition Pro 650W bronze power supply for £35 to make sure our system has plenty of juice. As some of you are probably aware, Radeon's R9 290 is notoriously power hungry, so I'd rather not skimp on this pretty crucial component. Again, this was an eBay purchase. And finally we have the beast herself, which some of you may recall I bought back in mid-June this year for £125 on eBay. It's done pretty well at 1440p on previous tests at high settings, so I had high hopes for the fantastic looking card at ultra settings 1080p. If you've kept a tally so far, yes, I overspent by £1, the total coming to £401. Ah well, close enough. But did I manage to keep my end of the bargain? Can this system manage ultra settings at 1080p at 60 FPS? So let's check it out, guys. Up first we have Battlefield 1, which is always a good test for both CPU and graphics card. I've always found this game easy to highlight any deficiencies in either of those two components. After playing through over the top 3 times, the experience was very smooth, returning us an average of 87 FPS and staying above 60 FPS 99% of the time. There was little variance when dropping to the 0.1% lows, which stayed at 53 frames per second, so we're off to a good start. Up next we have Dishonored 2, which was given a pretty hard time at release due to its bad optimisation. However, after several patches, this game now runs pretty good and is enjoyable to play even on older systems like this, where we achieved 71 frames per second on average and stayed above 46 FPS 99% of the time. Again, there was very little difference when looking at the 0.1% lows, which constituted to a stutter-free experience. Moving on, we have one of my favourite releases of the year, Prey. Seeing as this game is very well optimised, even on less capable systems, I had high expectations for this setup, and wasn't left disappointed, where the i7 and R9 290 turned in an average of 117 FPS, only dropping to 82 frames per second 1% of the time. 0.1% lows hit a minimum of 53, which was not noticeable during gameplay. Again, another great result. Up next we have Warframe, which has changed quite a lot since its original release back in 2013. If you've spent all your money on building a PC, then this is a fantastic free-to-play game which not only looks great graphically, but also runs very nice on most modest systems. The maximum detail settings are high, but it looks none the worse for it. This system gave us an average of 141 FPS and only dipped to 84 FPS 1% of the time, with the 0.1% lows coming in at 65. Again, another silky smooth result. And for the final acid test we have Mass Effect Andromeda, which I found pretty tough to run even at high settings on previous tests, let alone Ultra, so I was expecting the performance to bomb this time around. It's worth noting that the frame buffer format was changed from half 16 to compressed mode when the system returned some pretty bad 0.1% lows. Gamers Nexus has done an extensive article on Mass Effect Andromeda settings, which I'll link to in the description for those of you wanting a more detailed analysis. After this change and 3 more runs through PlanetSide, surprisingly the system's average and 1% lows remained unchanged at 55 FPS and 38. However, the 0.1% lows jumped up from an abysmal 13 frames per second to 32, which definitely made the game much smoother with no noticeable stutter this time around, so we came close with this result at 55 frames per second. So there you have it guys, with the exception of Mass Effect Andromeda, I think we pretty much hit our original goal. So if you're looking for a $520 PC or £400 if you live in the UK, then you could certainly do worse than build a system such as this. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you love my content, consider subscribing. Finally, I just wanted to say thanks to all of you who stayed subscribed to my channel, even when the upload schedule went out the window. Your support is greatly appreciated, and I'm looking to consistently upload at least a video every couple of weeks from here on in. Thanks for watching, I'll catch you guys in the next episode.